Imagine an AI that doesn't just, assist you, but actually builds things. You give it a single prompt, and poof, maybe a video game appears. Well, that's not quite science fiction anymore. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack the technologies really reshaping our world. Today, we are going deep on OpenAI's GPT-5, our mission, to figure out what makes this feel less like just an update and more like a genuine paradigm shift for automation, and maybe beyond.
That's right. We're going to explore what GPT-5 is. You can think of it almost like a family of specialized AI brains. We'll break down some, frankly, jaw-dropping benchmark results and uncover these surprising one-shot creation abilities it seems to have.
And then we'll pivot. We'll look at the practical side, what this means for automation, for real-world applications. We want to offer you a kind of strategic playbook for using this power efficiently. And, like always, we'll wrap up by looking at the future this tech is carving out. Our approach today, calm, curious, focused on really understanding this new frontier.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The source material we looked at calls GPT-5 a seismic event. When we hear seismic event, what really makes this more than just, say, GPT 4.5? What's fundamentally different here?
Well, Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, he put it pretty well, I think. He basically described the leap from 4 to 5 as the difference between talking to a really smart college student, that was GPT-4, and talking to a PhD-level expert, that's GPT-5.
Yeah.
They said GPT-3 was maybe like a high schooler. GPT-4, the college student. But GPT-5, it acts like a true domain expert, pretty much across any field you throw at it.
A PhD-level expert. Okay, that's quite a jump.
It really is. And for people actually building things, building automation, it boils down to 3 critical improvements. First, just better reasoning and problem solving. GPT-5 can work through these really complex multi-step problems with an accuracy that we just haven't seen before. Second, much better tool integration. Its ability to understand and use external tools, APIs, which is vital for any real-world automation that's dramatically improved. And third, this is a big one, the cost efficiency is kind of mind-bending. The input tokens for the main GPT-5 model, they cost half of what GPT-4's did. We're talking 1.25 per million input tokens for GPT-5 standard.
Yeah.
That suddenly makes enterprise-grade AI really accessible.
So it isn't just about raw power then, but more how it thinks and how it connects things.
Exactly. It's about deeper understanding and real practical application.
Okay, here's where it gets, I think, really interesting. The source mentions GPT-5 isn't just one single model, it's a family of brains. What does that actually mean for us? The users, the builders. How should we think about that?
It means you get choices. And, maybe more importantly, optimization. GPT-5 isn't this one monolithic thing. It's actually a suite of specialized brains. Each one is tuned for different kinds of tasks, different cost profiles. So you've got GPT-5 Standard. That's your well-rounded genius, good for most general stuff. Then there's GPT-5 Pro. That's the real deep thinker for those super complex, multi-step problems that need maximum reasoning power.
Right. And what about for things that are maybe simpler, but you do a lot of them, high-volume tasks?
Exactly. For that, you get GPT-5 Mini. It's described as a hyper-efficient workhorse, great for high-volume, maybe simpler tasks where, cost is a really big factor. And finally, there's GPT-5 Nano. That's the most economical one, perfect for really basic, high-frequency needs. And this new pricing structure, alongside the family, it's kind of revolutionary. It democratizes this advanced AI. Small businesses, even solo entrepreneurs who might have found GPT-4 a bit too pricey for heavy use, now it's potentially within reach. It feels like an economic shift just as much as a tech shift.
So you can really pick the right brain for the specific job you have in mind.
Yes, tailoring the power and the cost to your specific needs.
Okay, let's talk about the report card. The benchmarks for GPT-5 show some pretty staggering performance improvements. Let's dive into those numbers. What do they tell us about what's actually possible now?
Yeah, the numbers they're pretty clear. We've kind of stepped into a new era here. Take SWE-bench. That uses real-world coding problems pulled from GitHub. GPT-5 hit a 75% accuracy rate there. That's correctly solving nearly 3 out of every 4 complex software engineering challenges it was given. That's just a massive leap for code generation.
Wow, 75% on real GitHub issues. That's practically like having a pretty dependable junior developer on call.
It's certainly getting there. And then there's its multi-language ability. On a benchmark called Ader Polyglot, this tests how well an AI understands and edits code across different languages, like Python, JavaScript, SQL, like a full-stack dev. GPT-5 scored 88%. That means it's getting close to being a really dependable coworker for development teams. Getting it right almost 9 times out of 10 on these tricky multi-language tasks, that's huge.
And then there's this thing the source calls the miracle maker, single prompt creations. That sounds, well, it sounds a bit like magic.
Yeah, this is where it gets genuinely kind of mind-bending, which is one single well-thought-out prompt. GPT-5 has apparently been shown to create like complete, professionally designed landing pages or interactive, fully working audio step sequencers, little music tools, and yeah, even fully playable, pretty complex spaceship video games. And the key thing is, these weren't tweaked over and over. They were supposedly generated in a single shot. Whoa. I mean, imagine scaling that kind of one-shot creation capability up to, say, 1 billion users. It just fundamentally changes things like rapid prototyping. You could slash development cycles, accelerate getting minimum viable products out there.
Okay, stepping back from the benchmarks for a sec, how do these breakthroughs really translate into, a builder's dream, especially for automation? What specific headaches does GPT-5 maybe solve?
Right, for automation builders, there are 3 things that really stand out. First, that tool usage accuracy we mentioned. GPT-5 is significantly better at understanding and correctly using external tools and APIs. That's just crucial for complex workflows that interact with the real world. Second, long context handling. It can keep track of the conversation, the instructions, over much longer multi-step tasks. Basically, it doesn't forget what it was doing halfway through. That makes it viable for much more sophisticated business processes. And third, factual accuracy. There seems to be a marked improvement, a much lower rate of hallucination, when the AI just makes stuff up confidently. That obviously increases reliability quite a bit.
So it's not just smarter in theory, but it's also more reliable in practice, and it actually remembers what you told it earlier.
Precisely. It feels like a much more robust and trustworthy AI partner.
This really sounds like a perfect match for automation platforms. The source actually calls the combination of GPT-5 and n8n, that's a popular automation tool, a perfect marriage. Why is that synergy supposedly so powerful? What makes them complement each other so well?
It really does feel like that. Think of it like pairing, the world's greatest architect that's GPT-5's intelligence with the most efficient, flexible construction crew that's n8n's platform. GPT-5's huge jump in accuracy means you can now automate more complex, even mission-critical tasks with way more confidence. Fewer errors mean more reliable business processes and probably fewer late-night calls because something broke.
So it smooths out the rough edges, makes automation less brittle.
Yes, exactly. And beyond just accuracy, GPT-5 is more of an all-in-one AI now. It can handle text, images, code, complex reasoning, all within a single model, potentially. That simplifies workflows a lot. Before, you might need to chain together multiple different specialized AI services. Now, GPT-5 might handle the whole chain right inside your n8n workflow. And maybe most importantly, it democratizes this power. n8n is visual. It's low code or no code. Combine that ease of use with GPT-5's incredible ability to follow complex instructions. Well, suddenly, really advanced automation becomes accessible to non-technical users, maybe for the first time ever.
So this combination means more people can build much more powerful things without needing to be expert coders.
Exactly. It's genuinely empowering for builders of all kinds.
Okay, for anyone listening who's now itching to try this out, the guide we read provides a step-by-step for hooking up GPT-5 with n8n. Can you give us the quick rundown? How do people get started?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, actually.
Yeah.
First, you need the key to the engine room, right? That's your OpenAI API setup. You just go to platform.openai.com, set up an account if you don't have one, add a payment method because API usage isn't free, and then create a new secret API key. Now, critical step here. Copy that key immediately and save it somewhere super secure, like a password manager. Treat it like a password, maybe even more carefully, because you won't be able to see the full key again after you create it.
Got it. Guard that key. Then what's next inside n8n?
Right. Then, inside your n8n workflow, you just add an AI agent node. In its settings, you select OpenAI chat model, paste in that secret API key you just saved, and then, from the model drop-down menu, you should now see options for GPT-5 and its variants, like Mini or Pro. You just pick the one you want to use. Now, a really crucial note on billing, because this confuses a lot of people starting out. Your monthly ChatGPT+ subscription, if you have one, and the OpenAI API, they're 2 totally separate products with separate billing. ChatGPT+ is kind of like an all-you-can-eat buffet for the chat interface. The API is a la carte. You pay specifically for what your automation workflow uses based on tokens processed.
Ah, okay. So API usage is pay-as-you-go, separate from the chatbot subscription. That's important. So it's powerful, but you also need to be smart about managing those costs.
Yes, managing those API costs is absolutely key to using AI profitably. Setting budget limits is a must. Mid-roll sponsor read.
All right, academic benchmarks are one thing, but how does GPT-5 actually perform in, let's say, a real-world cage match against the previous champ, GPT-4o? What happens when the rubber really meets the road in an actual automation workflow?
Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted to find out too. So the test wasn't abstract. It was designed as a practical gauntlet. We ran both GPT-4o and GPT-5 through 10, identical demanding test scenarios right inside n8n. Things like generating complex emails based on data from external tools, or doing tricky database lookups and summarizing the results. And importantly, we used no custom system prompts, just raw, out-of-the-box intelligence from both models.
Okay, so head-to-head, what was the tail of the tape? How did they stack up?
Right, round one, accuracy. Here, GPT-5 landed a really heavy blow. GPT-4o scored a respectable 4.2 out of 5.0 across the tests. But GPT-5, it hit 4.7 out of 5.0. It's a really significant jump. It means far more reliable, much less error-prone automation right out of the gate. Round two, speed. Here, GPT-4 was consistently faster. Now, this is likely temporary, maybe due to server load from the GPT-5 launch, but for the moment, the veteran GPT-4o definitely had quicker responses.
Interesting. And cost, that's always a huge factor for anyone building automations at scale.
Right. Round three, cost. This was actually a bit of a surprise. While GPT-5's input tokens are indeed 50% cheaper, as OpenAI announced, it turns out GPT-5 is often so much more thorough and detailed in its responses that it frequently generates a significantly higher volume of output tokens compared to GPT-4o for the same task. So paradoxically, this can sometimes lead to a slightly higher overall cost per task with GPT-5, even though the input is cheaper. It's kind of a you get what you pay for situation in terms of detail. Honestly, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself sometimes, finding that sweet spot between getting a really thorough answer and keeping the token count reasonable.
Ah, that makes sense. More detail costs more tokens. Okay, so accuracy to GPT-5, speed to 4o, cost is nuanced. Was there a knockout punch? What really sealed the deal, if anything?
Round four, quality. Yeah, this is where GPT-5 delivered the decisive blow, I'd say. The sheer quality of the output was just in a completely different league. The responses felt dramatically more detailed, more personal, more nuanced, just more human-like. It didn't feel like just an incremental improvement over GPT-4o. It really felt like a generational leap in the quality of the interaction.
And what about the little guy, the mini version? Did the featherweight contender make an impact in these tests?
Yeah, the featherweight. GPT-5 Mini was also put through the same 10 tests. It scored 3.6 out of 5.0 for accuracy, respectable, but clearly below the bigger models. But here's the kicker. Running all 10 evaluations cost approximately 3 cents in total API charges, just 3 cents. So the verdict there is pretty clear. For high-volume, relatively simple tasks where cost is absolutely paramount, GPT-5 Mini looks like the undisputed king of efficiency. So yeah, the overall judge's decision from the cage match. GPT-5 is the clear champion for accuracy and especially quality, but there's currently a trade-off in speed and potentially slightly higher overall cost because its output is so much richer.
So it sounds like for business-critical tasks, that boost in quality and reliability probably outweighs the slightly slower speed or the nuanced cost difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the real world, quality and reliability are usually what drive the most value.
Okay, moving beyond those structured benchmarks.
Yeah.
How does GPT-5 handle more complex reasoning or even creative challenges? The source material talks about testing it as an ultimate assistant or even an AI art director. This starts to sound like the J.A.R.V.I.S test, right? Like from Iron Man.
It absolutely does feel like that. We simulated this ultimate assistant scenario. The mission was intentionally high level. Achieve a business goal that required coordinating multiple steps, web research, looking things up in a database, checking a calendar, drafting an email, basically, orchestrating several different tools seamlessly. And what we saw was really a masterclass in AI orchestration from GPT-5.
What was the most impressive part of that orchestration? What really stood out?
The most striking thing was what the source called a self-healing workflow. During the test, we intentionally sabotaged the API key for the primary web search tool it was supposed to use. Now, an older model probably would just failed, thrown an error, and stopped. But GPT-5 correctly identified the specific error it saw it was an authentication error. It automatically retried the tool once, just in case it was a temporary glitch. And when the error persisted, it intelligently switched to its backup plan. It used a different research tool, Perplexity in this case, to get the information it needed and complete the mission successfully. That ability to recognize a problem, try a fix, and then execute a plan B, that's huge for building robust, reliable automation that doesn't break easily.
Wow, okay. It can adapt to failures. What about the creative side, the AI art director test? How did that go?
Right, so on the creative front, We compared GPT-4o and GPT-5 again. We gave both models a really simple starting prompt, something like a shark wearing a cowboy hat on a classic car. And the task wasn't to generate the image itself, but to generate a much more detailed prompt that an image generation AI, like Midjourney or DALL-E 3, could use to create a really great picture. And the difference between the two was, well, night and day.
How so? What made the GPT-5 prompt so much better?
GPT-4o acted like a competent technician. It gave a solid, literal description based on the input. Serviceable.
Yeah.
But GPT-5, it acted like a professional art director. Its generated prompt was incredibly rich, detailed, and evocative. It specified things like photorealistic, cinematic wide shot, weathered leather cowboy hat tilted at a jaunty angle, mint condition, cherry red 1950s American classic convertible, sun-bleached desert highway, golden hour light, warm tones, long shadows, low-angle composition, shallow depth of field, playful yet majestic mood, no text or watermark. It was just packed with specific visual and atmospheric details.
That's amazing. It really paints a picture with words.
Exactly. And as you can imagine, the difference in the final image you'd get from those two prompts would be astronomical. One prompt gives you a basic picture, the other gives you a potential movie poster, a whole story. This enhanced ability to generate really creative, detailed, effective prompts is a massive advantage for anyone who needs to automate content creation, whether it's for marketing, social media, anything visual.
So it can adapt to errors on the fly, and it can be incredibly creative. It's showing deep intelligence and artistic flair.
Yes, exactly. It's a combination we haven't really seen at this level before.
So let's bring it all together. What does this actually mean for practical applications? With this level of AI, what kinds of real-world problems can we actually start solving now? Things that maybe seemed impossible or just too impractical before?
Well, this new level of capability unlocks a whole range of practical automation opportunities that were maybe just out of reach. Think about level 2 customer service agents. AI agents that can handle genuinely complex, multi-step customer inquiries, not just simple FAQs. Agents that are fully integrated with your CRM that can look up order histories, process returns, troubleshoot issues, and importantly have a clear, seamless escalation path to a human agent when they hit their limit. Or imagine a content factory workflow. Automating your entire content production pipeline from doing the initial research and fact-checking to generating drafts in multiple formats like blog posts, social media updates, video scripts, all with built-in checks for SEO and quality assurance. You could even build sophisticated business intelligence engines, systems that automatically pull data from various sources, aggregate it, generate concise executive summaries, maybe even create data visualizations on the fly.
Okay, that's a serious amount of power. Which brings us back to strategy and cost. How do we apply this power effectively? What's the new playbook for building smart, cost-controlled automations with GPT-5?
Right, because with great power comes potentially a great API bill if you're not careful. So smart cost management is absolutely critical. The playbook has a few key parts. First, strategic model selection, like we talked about with the family of brains. You need to pick the right engine for the job. Use the powerful standard or pro models for tasks needing deep reasoning or complex instruction following. Use Mini for high-volume, simpler tasks where cost per task is key. And use Nano for the absolute simplest, most cost-critical operations. Don't use the most expensive brain for every single thought. Second, aggressive token management. Think of the AI's context window, the amount of text it can consider at once, like a briefcase. Every word you put in or get out costs something. So optimize your prompts. Be ruthless about cutting out fluff and unnecessary words. Implement caching wherever possible. If you're asking the AI the same question repeatedly or feeding it the same background info, store the answer and reuse it instead of hitting the API every time. And consider hybrid approaches. Maybe use a cheap model like Mini for an initial pass, like filtering emails, and then only send the really important ones to the more expensive Pro model for detailed analysis.
So being really disciplined about what goes into that briefcase and reusing information smartly is paramount for cost.
Exactly. And the third piece is batch processing optimization. Think like an assembly line. Making one single API call to process, say, 10 customer reviews at once is far, far more efficient and cheaper than making 10 separate API calls, one for each review. So design your workflows to group similar operations together. Maybe implement intelligent queuing systems so non-urgent tasks can collect and then be processed in one large batch during off-peak hours.
So it's really about strategic deployment, choosing the right tool, and being super smart and efficient with tokens and requests.
Absolutely. Efficiency is what ensures profitability and allows you to scale these powerful AI solutions.
Okay, let's zoom out one last time. If we connect all these dots, look at the bigger picture. The release of GPT-5 feels like more than just an update. It feels like a signal, maybe, of some major underlying trends in AI. From this vantage point, what does the near future look like?
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's signaling at least three big shifts on the horizon. First, what the source calls the great leveling. This idea that truly advanced AI automation, the kind previously only available to huge corporations with massive budgets, is now becoming accessible to small businesses, even individual entrepreneurs. This allows them to genuinely compete, maybe even outmaneuver much larger players by leveraging AI smartly. It's a democratization of capability. Second, we're getting closer to the J.A.R.V.I.S. Build Me a Workflow future. GPT-5's strong performance on coding benchmarks hints that we're rapidly approaching a point where you might be able to describe a complex automation you need in just plain English. And the AI system could actually generate a ready-to-run workflow for you, maybe in a tool like n8n. Imagine just typing, build me an n8n workflow that triggers every time I get a new email with an invoice attached, extracts the amount due and sender, adds it to my accounting spreadsheet, and sends me a confirmation message, and it just built it. We're not there yet, but GPT-5 suggests it's getting closer.
Wow. AI building AI workflows? Then you mentioned a third trend, teams of AIs.
Right. That leads to the third trend, the Avengers Assemble moment for AI. This is the potential shift away from trying to build one single monolithic AI that does everything, like a solo Iron Man, towards orchestrating teams of more specialized AI agents, sometimes called agent swarms, that work together. GPT-5's much improved ability to reliably call and coordinate external tools makes these kinds of multi-agent systems far more feasible than they were before. The future might not be about building the single smartest AI, but about becoming like Nick Fury, the director, who knows how to assemble the right team of specialized Avengers, each with their own unique superpower, to tackle a complex mission collaboratively.
So we're talking about AI building AI and potentially teams of specialized AIs working together on complex problems.
Yes, it feels like the next frontier is really about AI collaboration and even self-assembly of solutions.
Okay, so the bottom line here for you, the listener, really seems to be that GPT-5 isn't just another small step forward. It feels more like discovering a whole new continent for automation possibilities.
I think that's a good way to put it. It brings dramatically improved reasoning, much better tool integration, and crucially, a more accessible cost structure, especially with the family approach. It's fundamentally more reliable for critical tasks, and it enables more advanced, complex systems that require less constant human handholding. For platforms like n8n, this is massive. For years, you could argue that the flexibility of the automation platform itself was, in some ways, ahead of the intelligence of the AI brains we could easily plug into it. With GPT-5, it feels like the brain has finally caught up to the body. The potential is huge.
So the race has definitely started. It seems the question is no longer if these tools will change pretty much every business, but really who will be the ones to actually build with them effectively and lead the way.
Absolutely. And my advice, if you're listening and wondering where to start simple, but start now. Pick one important, tangible, real-world business problem you have. Try building an automation to solve it using these tools. Test it carefully, refine it, build one strong, reliable system first. Get comfortable with it. Then, slowly and confidently, grow your AI-powered capabilities from there. Don't try to boil the ocean on day one.
That sounds like solid advice. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into GPT-5.
It's an exciting time. This new era of genuinely powerful, increasingly accessible AI is here. The time to start building is definitely now. Out Tiro music.